Hello and welcome back everybody. It's Complicated Relationships Reddit Stories. Hope you guys are safe and healthy. Now let's see what the story is about today. What if you are in a situation where you have divorced your first wife due to her cheating on you? Now you are happily married to your current wife with 2 children, and you get a message that your ex-wife wants to see you because she has less than 6 months to live. Now, let's find out all about it in today's story. Also, if you like what I do, please give this video a thumbs up and do subscribe to the channel.
I met my ex when we were both very young. She was my twin sister's best friend, so we've always been kind of a trio growing up. We started dating at 14 and got married at 23. Things got ugly though, because 5 years after getting married, she told me she had a month-long relationship with her coworker. Apparently, the guilt was too much for her, so she confessed. We tried to work through it, but after a few months of trying, I knew that, despite the fact that I loved her, I couldn't trust her anymore. She told me she still loved me and that she'd wait for me and prove that I was the only one. I wanted to believe her, but, some things just can't be fixed. We never had kids. 3 years after the divorce, I met my now wife. We got married 2 years after dating. She's everything I could ever dream of in a wife and more. My ex, as my sister told me, they're still besties, never really recovered. She quit her job and is now working in a church. Throughout my relationship with my wife, she kept trying to get back together, and on the day of my wedding, she told me she still loved me and would love no one else. She said this was the last time she would bother me, but that she'll wait for however long it takes.
Apparently, the ex is honest in that regard because OP's sister says she has never been with anyone since. Now, here is what happened recently.
So my wife and I, married for 7 years now, have 2 kids, 7-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son. My sister came over with her own kids so the cousins could play. While my wife was out to pick up lunch, my sister sat me down and told me the situation about my ex. Apparently, she only has less than 6 months to live. She refused treatment and wants to live the last few months to the fullest. I guess that's why her and my sister really went out of their way to travel despite the pandemic. One thing on her bucket list was that she wanted to feel like my wife again. No physical intimacy, no kissing, she just wanted me to be around the house again. She still lives in the house we lived in, and maybe hold her from time to time. I told her I wouldn't do that because that was pretty much emotionally cheating. My sister kept arguing and begging me to at least see her and hear her out. We kept arguing. No screaming, the kids were in the next room with her older daughter, till my wife came back.
Now, OP's sister told the current wife the whole story, and while she looked upset, she said she understood where my ex was coming from.
When my sister left, my wife and I talked about it. My wife knows everything that happened in the past with my ex. She said that, while she isn't thrilled about the idea, she won't get upset if I decided to see her on a regular basis. My wife is literally the best thing that ever happened to me, and I love her more than anyone. She makes me happier than I've ever been in my life, even in the good times with my ex. She knows I won't cheat. I also have 0 romantic feelings for my ex, so there's nothing lingering there. I don't hate her or anything, it's just that the love I had for her has long gone. After thinking about it for a while, I'm honestly 50-50 about it. I know I don't owe her anything, but I feel like I might regret not seeing her at least one more time, since the last time I saw her was on my wedding day, and that wasn't a good encounter for either of us, unless you count the times I occasionally see her in the store or something.
Right now, OP feels like, despite what she did in the past, she deserves to go with some peace.
On the other hand, I'm not entirely sure if this might potentially affect our marriage. My wife says she's okay with it, and I believe her, but I just can't be sure that she'll feel the same way after it happens. I don't want anything to jeopardize what I have right now, no matter what. I'm not too thrilled about going myself, to be honest. Any advice? What should I do? Edit. Just want to add that if ever I do this, I won't be acting like a husband or anything inappropriate like that. Just gonna see her and talk for a bit. My sister says that I just being there and sharing a meal with her would be more than enough for her to feel like we were married again.
Well, here is the update.
It's been almost 3 weeks since I've posted, and a lot has happened since. I got some solid advice from a lot of you guys, especially some who messaged me their personal experiences. I'd like to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. So, here's what happened. As many of you guys suggested, I talked to my wife. We had a long discussion about the whole situation, and I assured her that, no matter what, she is and always will be my first priority. I also assured her that, while I wanted to say my goodbye, I would never act like her husband. It would be more like me seeing a childhood friend or something like that. I also told her I would never spend the night, nor would I be alone with her.
The wife was more comfortable after their talk and was pretty okay with the idea of him seeing his ex-wife again.
As you guys guessed, she really felt like she was forced into being okay with it when my sister asked, but this time, she really was okay. So, I talked to my sister, and after a long heated discussion about what my role would be in the visit, she agreed to the boundaries my wife and I set. A week later, my sister and I came over to our old marital home. It was surreal because, while the emotions from years before came back to me, I didn't feel any sadness nor hatred or anything negative. I saw my ex, who was waiting for us in the living room, and she cried when I walked in. Most of you suggested she was faking it, but while she was still strong, you could tell almost immediately something was wrong with her. I indulged her with a hug, and we talked for a few hours while my sister made lunch. I showed her pictures of my kids and told her stories about what they're like.
OP didn't know how he would react after he saw his ex-wife again, but he says it just feels like seeing an old friend he hasn't seen in a long time, and there was no hate or anything like that.
I walked around the house, and it was pretty much the way it was when I left over a decade ago. I'm not really sure how I feel about our wedding photos still framed and pictures of us still all over the house, but it wasn't really my place to say anything. The three of us had lunch and played board games all afternoon. It honestly felt like we were back to when we were kids, and the three of us would hang out together. It was nice. I left at around 6. She was sad, but she understood. When I hugged her goodbye, she whispered, "I love you" to me, but then said how happy I was able to find the happiness she couldn't give me. To be honest, that part got to me, and I was fighting back tears. I told her I'd see her again soon, and she asked if I could bring my kids next time. I told her I would, and left to pick up dinner for my family.
OP told his wife everything that happened, and she was quite happy about the outcome.
I guess it helped that I brought home her favorite food, but she also agreed to let me bring the kids next time. Overall, it was a great experience seeing her again. I feel like I needed that and would have regretted not doing so. Again, I'd like to thank everyone who gave me advice. Also, please don't criticize my ex too much. She made a mistake and paid the price, but it doesn't mean she's an evil person. This will be my last update.
End of the story. Well, OP, she wants to roleplay with you as her husband, and now it sounds like she wants to pretend that your kids are hers too. Dying is not a forgive all sort of thing that justifies her wishes. I would have told her if she wants to meet up, it would be in a public place to get food or coffee. Your new wife sounds like an angel, but she's a human being with feelings too. If she said something negative, she'd look like the bad guy in this situation. I would draw the line with the kids. Do not take your children to your ex so she can play house with them. That is so disrespectful towards your wife. Also, don't you think your children are going to get confused seeing photos of you with another woman who is not their mother all over the place? OP, you have done enough. Prioritize your family now. Good luck. Now, before we go, let's listen to a few comments by the community. The first comment is by Undisguised Pine Trees.
It's definitely the wants to feel like we're married again part that was weird here. Wanting to see someone from your past that you were close to for a long time? Makes perfect sense. Wanting some closure on a relationship that ended badly? Makes sense. But the whole wanting to be able to feel like you're still married? That's just sort of weird. It sounds like what happened was much more normal than that, thankfully. Maybe a better way to put it is that she wanted to feel a sense of normalcy in the way that she defined it for so much of her life. It makes me very sad for the ex-wife to think what small scraps she wants at the end of her life. To be able to pretend that a person who is openly not interested in her still is just for a moment. It may be that leaving her childhood sweetheart was the right thing to do. He certainly seems much happier, but it makes me sad to think that she didn't go on to have better relationships in her life after that. It's a good reminder to learn to live with our choices and make the most of the time we have.
The second comment is by Jesus Keroro.
To be fair, the original post is full of red flags, some that are still present in this update. The main concern I saw from commenters is that he's risking damaging his marriage over someone he hasn't talked to in a decade. The way his ex never got over their marriage and the way his sister pressured him and his wife were both pretty concerning. It's very clear that his ex-wife didn't deal with their divorce in a healthy way, and this meeting had every potential to go sideways based on the info provided. I'm glad it all worked out for him, but I can't say the people who said maybe this was a bad idea were unfounded.
The last comment is by Cheesy Moonlight.
You're a good person. However, I find it extremely odd that your ex-wife still has pictures of both of you still hanging around her home after being apart for a decade, and especially asking you to bring your children to visit her. I would recommend not bringing your and your wife's children into this. It is not fair of your ex asking you to continue this situation. I guarantee it will cause turmoil in your marriage at a later date. Your wife might say she's okay with you visiting her, but it's not decent to ask her to continue being okay with you keeping an ongoing relationship with an ex-wife that said "I love you" to you recently, on top of taking y'all's children to her home.
Thank you all for listening. Please like, comment and share the video if you enjoyed it. Also, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you will be notified when we upload the next video. Take care.